Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to this week's recap video. I'm going to answer questions from last week's videos. There are no other things I need to talk about today, so I think we're just going to jump right in. Aaron gathered every single one of these questions, all of which, he's like, yeah, I did, all of which I have not read. So this is going to be interesting for me. First video was the Flower Alley update. In that video, we showed you all 10 of the containers we put together. We did a series of videos this spring where we did very simple container arrangements utilizing 3 or 4 plants in the same container, and they're on the same drip, in the same location, and we just wanted to show you how different plants will react and grow, and I think they're, for the most part, they're all doing really well. On Friday, I will start my first job ever, and guess what? It's in my favorite garden center in my town. Thank you, Laura. Your channel inspired me so much. I really needed to figure out what I wanted in life and found it thanks to you. That is so sweet. Did you put that one first on purpose? Yeah. So I feel encouragement? Yeah. Did you put some doozies in here later on? Yeah. Is that why? Yeah. That's awesome news to hear. I always love to hear when people start in doing something that they're so excited about because it makes such an enormous difference in your life. I never thought that I would actually end up in the horticulture industry because I grew up in it. My parents have a garden center and I thought, I am not going to do this. And guess what? Worked at the garden center. After I tried many other different things, went to college to be a nurse. I went to England to go to college for a little while. I worked in business banking. I worked at a vet clinic for 5.5 years. I was a barista a couple different times before I decided I need to do something outside and I need to do something with plants. So anyway, it's made a tremendous difference in my life to do something I'm passionate about. So I'm excited for you. Marcella says, do these containers have plastic inside or a few holes inside? And did you put rocks or stones in the bottom? They have no plastic inside. They have one drain hole in the bottom. That's where the drip comes up through, but the hole is big enough to accommodate both drainage and the drip tube. I do not put any rocks or stones in the bottom. I find unless the container is massive and you're just trying to, take up some space at the bottom, I don't find that that's actually helpful at all. When you put, maybe if you put like a couple rocks in the bottom to assist with drainage, it would maybe be helpful. I don't know. I don't normally do that though. Cheryl said, Laura, my Supertunias are dying from the underside. How do I prevent this? In my experience, Supertunias do that, or Superbells, like they'll kind of start drying up on the bottom side if they've been stressed at some point, usually because of inconsistency in watering. And that might mean you let 36 hours go between watering, like you watered in the morning one day and then the evening the next day. It's too many hours between watering. That's why it's so important once you decide when you're gonna water at that time every single day. It also could be because your plant's not getting enough light or it's had an insect issue like aphids or something like that. Usually that's just a sign of stress. And I should also mention, they also can look like that if you've overwatered them too. So it's really just finding the balance between overwatering and underwatering. And I find that just watering at the same time of day and trying to give them about the same amount of water every day is really helpful. M. Sabrina DM8 said, are those plants a mixture of annuals and perennials? How do I get those plants? Are those all annuals, I think? Yeah, they're all annuals. I used 100% annuals in all of those containers. How do I get those plants? Definitely at this point of the year, with everything that went on this spring, I would highly unlikely that you will find them even online. I don't even know that they're available to order online. Maybe some of them are. What I would do is to talk to your local garden center and let them know if you have some specific ones that you really like. Let them know that you want those next year, and oftentimes they can make sure to get them for you. There's also a thing on the Proven Winners website where if you really like something and you kind of want to create a list, you can actually create idea boards within the Proven Winners site. So if, let's say you loved the Superbells Lemon Slice and you don't want to forget to use that one next year, you can go to that page and then you can like add it to the board. I don't know, we'll put a little thing on the screen so you can see how to do that, and that way you can kind of start yourself a list and then you don't forget. Next question is from Tammy. Morning, Laura. When you spray the BT, do you spray the whole container or just the plant that can get budworms? Typically just the plant that gets the budworms. We just make sure to thoroughly drench those plants. The next video was working on the flower bed behind the gazebo. What did I do in that video? Oh no, behind the chicken coop. You wrote that wrong. I was gonna say, I don't think I worked behind the gazebo this week, except for watering. Let me change that. Yes, so in that video, I planted some annuals behind the chicken coop. We got the fountain back up and running. I treated for chlorosis. I think, let's see. Oh, and I treated some elm seeds. Elm seedlings. Jan said, will your foxgloves reseed for next year, or do you consider them an annual? They should reseed, and I'm going to let them, and I hope they do reseed. I consider them a biennial. That's what they are. So typically most varieties of foxglove come up the first year and they just produce leaves, and then the second year they produce a flower stalk, and then they'll reseed themselves after that. That's kind of their life cycle, and that mother plant dies after the second year. But there are some varieties like the Dalmatian peach, the Camelot mix. Those are two that I grew from seed this year that actually bloomed the first year as well, which is really exciting. I grew kind of a handful of both. So I have 2 sections of foxgloves in my yard that aren't blooming this year. They'll bloom next year. And then I have 2 sections that are blooming this year. But I don't, kind of as an annual, kind of as a biennial, I don't know. I'm just hoping they reseed themselves and they become kind of a perennial in those areas. Next question was, isn't foxglove extremely toxic? That's kind of dangerous, especially with a toddler running around. They are toxic, yes. I grew up around all the toxic things, and I was taught what I could mess with and what I can't. Benjamin is not the type to go mess with much. He has been taught from day one what he can do in the garden, and he's a pleaser anyway, and so I know that all kids are different, and we got lucky with him. I have no idea what this next one's going to be like. We're probably in for it with this next one, but I don't think, like, my personal philosophy is not to bubble wrap the kids, but rather teach them what they can and can't do and what's safe and what's not safe, although we do watch him closely because I know things slip through the cracks. And he's not like a little saintly child, even though we love to think that he is. And so we keep our eye on him. There's always somebody with him out in the garden. He's never by himself. Next question was from Sen. Where can we buy that drill auger you have? The ones in Amazon are smaller in diameter. This one you can buy on Proven Winners website. We'll link it down below. It's called the Twist and Plant. Got it. Sasha said, do you worry about your chickens escaping with the window open? No, I actually tacked a piece of hardware cloth up on the outside of that window. So it doesn't really show up, which I'm thankful it doesn't, because it would look kind of like a jail cell if you could see that hardwire cloth. But the window, I keep all the windows and doors open in there because there's, an enclosed run, and then the windows enclosed so that there's a really good airflow. And I also have a fan running in there 24/7 just to help facilitate air through that chicken coop. Aurora said, beautiful, just a question not related to this video. Was there an end of June tour that I missed? No, we haven't done an end of June tour. Aaron's looking at me like, I like to wait until the conditions are prime for a tour, because I just do. I like to wait till we have an overcast day or something like that, and I don't think we're gonna get one. So we'll probably film a tour. Next time the lawn is mowed, we'll probably film a tour. We'll have to go pick up some toys and stuff, but anyway, yeah, there wasn't anything that you missed. Okay, so the next video was a little bit different than our normal videos. It was a life update, and in that video we announced that we are expecting baby number 2 and just shared some details around that. And it was such a sweet response from you guys. Are always so excited and so supportive, and it makes it so much more fun for us because I feel like we have all of these excited people behind us and just waiting. And anyway, of course, with a video like that, there's really not a lot of questions. So looks like Aaron grabbed 3 things from this video. First one was from Joseph. So excited for you. Do you guys think you will take another break after the baby's born? All prayers to you and your family. I mean, we'll take a little bit of a break. Last time, we took a break for like 10 days, and then we started filming again. The thing about what we do is that we can ease back in fairly easily. I am going to enlist all the help I can for this baby. With baby number 1, I thought Aaron and I were going to be able to do it all by ourselves, and my mom offered the first night. She offered to come stay, and I was like, no, we got this. And I think I called her almost in tears at about 9:30. Like, oh, you need to come right now. We don't know what to do. So anyway, I think she's gonna stay with us for about a week so that she can hang out with Benjamin and help with the baby, and so that we can get a little bit of sleep. And I will not say no to help this time. So I think I have no idea what it's gonna be like. I think it'll be a fairly, not easy transition, but easier maybe. And now that there's not as much fear, because now I know how to take care of a baby, and I know how to change a diaper this time around and all of those things, it'll be a little easier that way. So we can ease back in, and we can do like little projects here and there, or do whatever. So it's not like we have to go back to work and work a full 8-hour or 9-hour day. You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain that, but anyway, so I don't anticipate taking a hugely long break. And we'll probably try to create videos that can come up during that time too, so we don't have like this huge lapse. Anyway, next video was, does Benjamin eat a lot of candy? Benjamin eats about as much candy as his parents eat. That's all I'm gonna say. SC said, what monsters thumbed down this video? Honestly, I'm curious. I don't know. Few things. I have heard of some people accidentally hitting the dislike button, and I don't think that they realize they could unhit it and then hit the like button. We've actually gotten emails from several people like super stressed out saying, I accidentally hit the thumbs down. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hit it. And I, bless their hearts understanding that. I think that every single channel has their own like little ratio of dislikes you get no matter what video you put up. And I don't know. I think maybe some people just having a bad day. There was one comment Aaron told me about. I didn't see this one because there were a lot of comments, but somebody said something like that we were just in it for the money because we were sharing this news with a bunch of strangers, which I don't consider you guys strangers. And that's the only reason why we'd be sharing news like that. And I'm thinking, well, what am I supposed to do? Just like start getting huge and just like, nope, not going to share any news. Not going to tell you guys what's going on and why I look so different because I'm not in it for the money. Like, it's absurd. Anyway, I never saw that. Aaron just told me about that. It's just kind of funny. Those kind of things don't bother me though. Overall, it was like super, like so many wonderful, lovely messages from you guys. So thank you for that and your support.
Don't you feel like more often than not we get a kick out of the negative comments?
Yeah,
more so
I can almost assign like a person from the garden center that I used to help. I can almost be like, oh, that comment's coming from a person just like that lady I used to help at the garden center. And I don't know.
But you can't even get bent out of shape because you know what kind of people they are.
Yeah, you do.
You
and
can't even take it
I
serious.
think there are a lot of people who are struggling too. I mean, we all struggle, right? We all have days where we're off or we're just not in as good of a mood, but we don't usually go project it on somebody else like that. I don't know. Yeah, I think we're pretty, what's the word? Objective? Pragmatic.
Yeah,
about those sorts of things. Anyway, next video is 10 flowers you can still plant from seed. Okay, so I showed you 10 different types of flowers that even in mid-July you can still plant from seed depending on your area and how long you have till your first average frost date. And I don't know where I just totally lost my train of thought. Anyway, I showed you those seeds that you can still get flowers from if you plant them at this point of the year. And I already have 7 out of 10 up, and that was yesterday, and that was 5 days from planting, which is amazing. And that's why I think it's so fast, because it's so warm outside that like seeds are they're ready to come up because they've got all the warmth they need. So I'm still waiting on, I think, nasturtiums and calendula. And there's one more that I can't remember. Anyway, I'll be giving you guys an update on those, but I'm really thrilled. Jenny said, I've ordered a lot of seeds you've linked here. Question, can I plant them almost haphazardly in a bed along a fence similar to a cottage garden style, or do they need to be separated in spaces or rows? No, you can absolutely seed them haphazardly. Just try to remember where you put them so that they all get moisture, but I think that's a great way to plant them if you're putting them in flower beds. I'm doing more of a row crop situation out there because I had some extra space in our cut flower garden, and it is just that, it's a cut flower garden. There's no design to it, it's just row crops. That way it doesn't make me feel bad to cut all the flowers. Jen said, I have a question about the intervale plant markers. Do you only use them once, then throw them away? I bought some from Gardener's Supply, but I don't want to write on them because then I can't use them for a different kind of plant next time. Is there a good way to make them reusable? Any ideas would be appreciated. I haven't even really thought about that, but you're right. So I write with a garden marker on one side, which they're wood. Garden marker is permanent marker. So you could use them the second year if you turn them over, but I wonder if you just sand them down a little bit. If that would like open up a spot for you to write on. I'll ask Deborah at Gardener Supply what her recommendation is. And then the next time I use them in a video, I'll mention what my findings are. Laura said, love your channel. Quick question. Do you have a trick for removing the stickers from the galvanized tanks? I have 10 with stickers on. Everybody said to use heat. There was a couple that said to use WD-40. But everybody said to use heat, which I can't imagine, like it's so hot out there right now. Like what's the difference, Aaron, on those stickers from the Balin galvanized tubs? If I used a blow dryer, people said use heat.
Oh yeah.
But they're like 1,000,000 degrees out there in the sun and I still can't get the stickers off.
It's hotter though. It's hot. Like a blow dryer is hotter than what it is outside.
So they're saying like you just heat up the sticker with a blow dryer and it should come off.
Yeah, in fact, the somebody from that company emailed.
Oh,
and
really?
said the same thing. Yeah.
Just use a blow dryer.
Yeah, or
like a heat gun or something like that.
Or like a torch.
I wouldn't torch it.
You can, or a lot of people have torches for weeds and stuff.
So you would set your thing
on
on fire.
Don't set it on fire, but you just heat it. I mean, the point is to heat it up.
Okay, so heat is the trick, I guess, but not heat in the sun. Heat from a machine of some sort. I haven't done it yet. Those stickers are still on my tubs. Vernell said, will you be putting mulch on the new land? The dirt looks so dry. It does look so dry. We're going to be working compost and gypsum into the new land. Aaron's working on getting those things in bulk and getting somebody to come and spread it properly. Because, I mean, we could spread it with our tractor, but I don't know, it would take forever. We need somebody that has a truck that can just like drop it. You know what I mean? Like, anyway, so we will be working on the soil. We're hoping, in a lot of years that it'll look, after adding a lot of organic matter back into the soil, and Aaron's actually going to start a compost bin system out there so we can create our own compost. We're hoping that this soil looks a heck of a lot better than it does right now because, I mean, we have such high alkaline soil and that's what creates that white chalky look when it's dry. And it's deceiving because it'll look bone dry on the top and powdery. You stick your finger in it and it's holding a ton of moisture. So I've actually overwatered the cut flower garden a little bit. Some of the stuff's looking a little bit yellow because I didn't realize how much water the soil was holding on to. So it's not as bad a soil as I thought it was, thankfully. But yeah, it needs a lot of work. But we will be probably mulching flower bed areas, but not areas that we work up for cut flower gardens and things like that. Lauren says, can you please explain the difference between dahlia seeds versus tubers? Will seed develop tubers one day? I think so. Isn't that how it works? I've never grown dahlias from seed. That would be a heck of a long process. It'd be kind of like potatoes, right? So you usually start with a potato tuber instead of a seed or like garlic even. You start with a garlic clove rather than a garlic seed because I think it takes like 3 years or something like that to get a head of garlic from a seed instead of just starting with a clove and then you get a head in 1 year. So I think the time situation is just a lot longer. I don't have patience really for that as much. Do you also have to fertilize the food crops as well? And if you do, is that also once a week? No, I do fertilize food crops, Biotone starter fertilizer when I plant them, and then I fertilize them with Garden Tone or Tomato Tone, one of those two, usually depending on the crop once or twice during the season. And it's an organic slow feed fertilizer, so you don't need to feed once a week. That would be a tremendous amount of work if we had to fertilize our vegetables as much as our annuals. Next video was the Gorilla Ladder giveaway, and that was kind of a fun video to do because Aaron had to help a lot with that because I'm not climbing on ladders right now, but Gorilla Ladder sent out 7 different ladders for us to try out. We showed all of the features to you guys, and then we did a giveaway. I don't know when are we announcing?
Next week, I think, would be a good time.
Okay, so we'll announce the winners in next week's recap video. And then we had to trim a weeping willow, which we needed to use one of the ladders for because it worked out kind of perfect. Brenda said, oh, I forgot to ask, do you have a day you do gardening tours or special time of year you do that? I would love to come if you did that. We don't have an open garden. Our garden is private. We do open it once a year. Last year we opened it one time for kind of a private event. It wasn't open to just whoever. You had to buy tickets for it. We had that scheduled for this year as well, but of course it's had to be canceled because of the current state of everything, and I think it was wise to do that, just keep everybody at home and keep everybody from traveling and all of that, because people were going to be coming from all different areas. And we're being extra careful now too because I'm pregnant, and I just, I think it's just a good thing. Anyway, so we typically don't do tours. We might get to a point sometime when we do that. I can't see myself wanting that. Aaron would probably like to do that at some point. I don't know, that would be a lot of stress for me, a lot of stress. Garden tours are stressful. Like in-person garden tours are stressful for me. Lois says, when will you be announcing the winners of step ladders? Next week in the recap video. Patricia said, I have a birch tree that has a weeping branch. Do I prune it like a willow tree? It's growing wild too. Yes, if you've got a weeping willow tree like that, you can, or a weeping birch rather, You were going to correct me there. Weeping birch, yes, you can trim it up. You can give it a bowl cut if you want. That's Erin's preference would be. You could trim it straight around. A lot of people do that like with weeping cherry trees. Or you can kind of, taper the cuts so that you lift the canopy, but then it looks a little bit more natural. But that's absolutely fine to do with your birch. Bren14 said, I've always loved weeping willows, but have been hesitant to own one ever since I heard they have short lifespans. How old is your willow, and do you plan on replacing it in kind when it dies? I don't know how old that willow is. I think they have a longer lifespan if they're treated. Unfortunately, willows and birch trees, primarily, and ash trees in our area, have to be treated with a systemic insecticide once a year to keep the borers out. If you don't do that, your tree will grow, but it will lose huge big branches because the borers go in and weaken the tree. And then people say, well, willows are so messy. And they are kind of a messy tree, but they are more messy when you don't treat them with a systemic because they're so weak that all of a sudden you get a little bit of a wind, like a whiff of a windstorm, and you get branches all over the ground. So if they're being treated properly, they do have a longer lifespan, and if they're getting proper water. But you do have to be careful because the systemic is not, it's not an organic, it is a broad spectrum. It enters the system of the tree, so I always make sure to treat it after the willow has bloomed or after the birch has done its thing in the spring, because then I know that all the bees that are attracted to the trees are going to be fine. So I think that's the key. If you're using something like that, you have to make sure you're using it in a responsible way. And I used to think that you would have to treat them in the spring, like right when the sap starts to flow, before the tree leaves out and all of that. Now I wouldn't ever treat it at that point because that systemic would be on board strong when that willow's blooming and it would hurt the bees. So anyway, yeah, kind of a long answer for that question. I don't know. I don't know if I would replace it with another weeping willow if they die. I've got 3, I think, left. Or not left. We've got 3 total that have been here since we moved in. One of them's never looked super healthy. The other 2 I just adore, and I would be so sad if they died. I would probably put a weeping willow somewhere because I just think they're so magical looking. Sandy said, Erin was kidding about the bowl cut, right? Nope. That's how Erin would prune everything if you had if you had loppers and I wasn't around.
I wouldn't do a bowl cut, but I would at least trim it to where it wasn't touching the ground. I wouldn't let it, because you let it touch the gravel and then swirl around on the gravel for like 3 or 4 feet.
Yeah.
It's magical. That looks messy to me. Oh. I would trim it at least to where it was just barely touching the ground. There you go.
We were just on the gator last night and he was sizing up the red points, saying that we needed to limb him up a little bit. I was like, oh man. So I think we're going to work on tree trimming this afternoon together. That's the best way to do it. And the last video from this week was the harvesting strawberries and making strawberry ice cream, which is a super fun video. Super good ice cream. Oh my word, it's so good. Laura said, where's the recipe? I couldn't find it in the description. I forgot to put it in the description. Did we do that yet?
You never sent it over.
Oh, okay, so we'll get that in the description down below. So in the meantime, you'll just have to watch the video and write down all the ingredients. I'm so sorry, but I will update that. Question, if you add a little more vodka, will that make it say softer? No, I wouldn't add any extra because if you add more vodka, it could alter the flavor. But adding that tiny smidgen of vodka, that 1 tablespoon went throughout 2 batches of ice cream. You can't taste it at all, and all it does is help the ice cream not form crystals in the fridge. So I probably wouldn't add more. I think my problem was I should have taken it out of the freezer and let it soften for maybe even 5 minutes on the counter. I just took it straight from the freezer outside and tried to scoop it, and it was frozen pretty hard. Jasmine said, where did you hide all those ripe strawberries away from Benjamin? We just tried to distract him. We have blueberries that are bearing right now, and so I have kind of directed his attention toward the blueberries, which I got my fill. I took the first crop of blueberries because I knew if he found them, he would eat them all. And so I ate the first crop of blueberries. Now he's on to the blueberries, and I was able to keep him away from strawberries for a couple days. Erin said, I did not see you harvest any strawberries from the vertical strawberry planters you did a while back. Do you find some drawbacks to using them? That project was wildly successful. I have video. I will find it, Erin. You have to remind me. Uh-oh, my phone's still on. Anyway, I have video of those galvanized vertical hangers with the strawberries in them, and they were amazing. We did plumb them with drip on the top, so we never even had to water them except for when we wanted to fertilize, and they did so great. AC said, how many strawberry plants do you have, and for how many weeks, months are you harvesting an appreciable number of strawberries? In other words, how many ever-bearing plants do I need to keep a family of 2 eating decent-sized servings of strawberries all summer? If you wanted to eat strawberries all summer, let me count real quick how many plants I have. Many of these are first-year plants, though, so you have to keep that in mind. We'll have a much bigger crop next year. I think I've got like 25 or 30 plants. You have to keep in mind, too, that what I picked in that video was only 2 days harvest. Because Benjamin had been eating them up to that point, but we've been getting so many strawberries every single day that, I mean, like one of those baskets is like 2 cups of strawberries. That's like plenty for a day, right? Unless you really love strawberries, but I can't imagine eating like that many strawberries every single day throughout the whole summer. I'd probably get sick of them after that amount of time. Anyway, yeah, so next year we should have even more strawberries. And the very last question from this video was from Vintage Cooking Corner. This is more of a tech question, but how many cameras do you use when filming? Just noticed all the different camera angles. So it depends on the video. Like sometimes for the strawberry video, we used 3 different cameras. I used my vlog camera, Aaron used a different camera when I was harvesting, and then he used a different camera when I was cooking. All right, so Aaron wrote down the actual names of the cameras because I can never remember, but for vlogging, I use the Canon G7X Mark II. The Mark III seems to have some autofocus problems for me. We use the GoPro Hero 8 and the GoPro Max quite a bit, especially if I'm outside by myself. And I'm filming a vlog. A lot of times I'll just have the GoPro, my vlog camera, and that's how I get everything done. When Aaron films me, he uses the Canon 90D, and he uses a Sigma 18 to 35 milliliter f1.8 for almost everything. That like means nothing to me.
Milliliter?
I didn't say milliliter.
Oh, did you?
I said millimeter.
Oh, I thought it came out milliliter.
I don't know if that came out milliliter or millimeter. I meant millimeter. I didn't say that right. And then for cinematic shots or close-up shots, he uses a Canon 70 to 200 millimeter f2.8. Anyway, there is a link we'll put down below to all of our camera gear that we use. So if you want to check out any of that, you can do that. Basically, when I vlog and something like I accidentally hit a button that's wrong, I have to bring it inside. I'm like, Aaron, fix this. I don't know what's going on. Like, I know how I want it to look, but I don't know what I just did. I don't know what any of the buttons mean. I know how to make it lighter or darker or change the color temperature. But he's like, did you try doing the, what are some, I don't even know, like, I'll call him on the phone. I'm like, something looks weird. And he's like, well, did you try, what is the number? I don't know.
Aperture.
The aperture, I don't even know what aperture means. Anyway, although, like, I know how I want it to look. I filmed the rainy day garden tour by myself. And I think that turned out pretty darn good. I don't know if you guys saw that video. You should watch it if you haven't.
95% yourself.
You did like 2%.
I think it was closer to 5.
No.
Okay. I did 2.
Okay, so the one shot Aaron helped me with was the rain dropping into the puddles. Because I couldn't get the focus right because it was like, it would like refocus as the water would drop. Like, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like the reflection was wrong. Anyway, so you came out and helped me with that. And you want to take credit for that.
No.
Anyway, that's it for this week's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all have a really great week, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.